Hi everyone, welcome to HOTH 10. My name is Shiyu and I am a first year intern at ACM Hack. So today I am going to talk about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So before we start, just a few housekeeping issues. This slide can be accessed via this link over here, and if you want to do some reading, there's also a README of this workshop. You can access it via this link in the bottom left corner. And also, make sure you have installed a text editor and a web browser. Basically, any text editor and any web browser would work. It's just up to your personal preferences. However, for our purposes, for our demo, we'll be using Visual Studio Code and Chrome. Okay, so we're going to talk about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But what are they? There's three core technologies for building web pages. From a higher level, HTML is the content of your website. Everything from plain text to images to links, they're all HTML. As for CSS, it's basically the style of your website, from fonts to layout to the colors and so on. And finally, JavaScript. JavaScript accounts for the logic of your website. For example, when you're trying to start or stop a video on YouTube, the page doesn't refresh every time. How does that work? Ask JavaScript. So if every web page is a person, HTML will be the bone and the muscles, and CSS will be the makeup and the clothes that that person is wearing, and JavaScript will be the motion that this person is making. So here is a picture that explains the difference between HTML and CSS and JavaScript. You can look at it if you're interested. And HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are so important that they're basically everywhere. I'm pretty sure that almost every website that you have visited, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript play a part. One example will be our UCLA homepage, and another example will be our ACM Hack homepage. So that's the importance for these core technologies. So we're going to talk about it one by one. So first, what is HTML? HTML is the abbreviation for Hypertext Markup Language. What is that? So hypertext is just text which contains links to other text. For example, this text over here contains a link. If you click on it, it will redirect you to our Hack website. So in this case, this text is a hypertext. And as for markup, it's just basically what HTML uses to annotate text. More specifically, HTML tags mark the content and structure of the text. What does that mean? It's like you've written a book. Let's imagine that you're the author of the book and now you're ready to publish it, and here's what you have written. So basically there are only 3 lines. It's welcome to HOTH 10, good luck on your projects, and click to submit. You are very satisfied with your with what you have written so far and you're ready to publish it. The thing is, when you are writing the book, you intended the first line to be your title, the second line to be your paragraph, and the third line to be a button. Okay, we don't know why there's a button in your book, but that's it. That's what it is. However, your editor knows nothing about all this. So before you send your draft to your editor to print it out, you might need to make some remarks. Probably something like this. So this is my title, this is a paragraph, and this is a button. So that is the same thing for HTML. You have to let the computer know the specific type that you want your content to be by using tags. So this angle bracket, H1 angle bracket over here is basically the equivalent of saying, hey, computer, this is our title. And this angle bracket, P angle bracket over here is basically saying, hey, computer, this is a paragraph. So that is how we use tags in HTML to mark the content of our website. So now, after learning about these basic what is HTML, we're going to actually create a HTML page. So how can we do that? The first step will be to create a folder anywhere on your computer. So I'll probably just create a folder on my desktop for me to find it easier, and I'll name it to demo. The next thing I do is I'll open my Visual Studio Code. I'll open that folder in my Visual Studio Code. And voila, here we have an empty folder open in our Visual Studio Code. And so the next thing I will do is to create a new file under this folder that ends with a .html extension. For example, I will name my HTML file to be index.html. Cool. So now we have a HTML file. The next thing we're going to do is to add some basic structure that is the same thing for every HTML page. Every time you create a HTML page, you'll have to add these stuff. So the first line we'll have to add is to add angle bracket, exclamation mark, doc type HTML. So let's do it. Angle bracket, doc type HTML. What this line do is that it's basically telling the computer, hey, I'm going to write something HTML. And after that, we're going to create a set of tags, angle bracket HTML and angle bracket backslash HTML. That basically contain everything on the web page, and everything you write are going to go into that set of tags. So we're going to add the tags, HTML. Cool. So in between these HTML tags, we'll have two different sections. The first section is the head section over here. And the second section is the body section. So the head section contains the title and contains the script. We'll talk about that more later. And the body text contains all visible content on the page. So we'll do that right now. So first is the head section, and the second is the body section. So inside the head section, we can give a title to our website. For example, let's say we're going to make a personal website for the famous anime character in Spy Family. Her name is Anya. So our title for the website would probably be something like Anya's personal website. Cool. So now we have our HTML page and its basic structure added. We can actually try to open our page. So how can we do that? We can do that by going back to our desktop, open our folder, and right-click, open with Google Chrome. Okay, I have it right here. I'll pull that out to make our make it easier to read. Okay, so now we have our HTML page. As you can see, the title for this page is Anya's personal website, but it's currently a blank page because it has nothing on it yet. Because as you can see, we haven't added anything to our body section, so that's understandable. We'll go ahead and add more content to our website right now. So, go back to our slides. So just now we've introduced some tags that can mark the content of our website. For example, we have this H1 tag that can mark that, okay, this is a title. We also have this paragraph tag, which marks that, okay, this is a paragraph. But HTML tags are more than that. We have a lot of tags. As for these tags, you don't really have to memorize all these because you can actually look it up, and it's pretty easy to look it up just online. You can basically just Google all the tags, and yeah. So the first common tag that we're going to learn is the header tag. The header tag basically used to define a heading or a section title in the page. So it is represented by angle bracket H1 angle bracket. There is also angle bracket H2 angle bracket up to H6. So among all, H1 is the largest header and H6 is the smallest header. So we'll go ahead and test it on our website. So for example, let's say that on top of our website, we want a largest header that says Anya Forger, the name of the character of this website. So go ahead and save it, and we can refresh, and voila, we now have a H1 tag, a really large header of Anya Forger. And we can go ahead and test other H tags as well. So for example, I want a smaller header that since Anya is just a little girl, she might say something that doesn't really make sense. For example, she might just say da da da. Hit save and refresh, and here we have a smaller header and it says da da da. Cool. We can go ahead and try another one. We should try H3. For example, here we might say, welcome to Anya's page. We have yet a smaller header. So that's all for header, but as we all know, a website is more than headers. We also have paragraphs, just normal paragraphs. For example, we can say that we can use a paragraph that tells everyone the self-introduction of Anya. So to do that, we'll use the paragraph tag. The paragraph tag is represented by angle bracket P angle bracket. So for example, here, I'll say P paragraph, I'm Anya. I'm 6. And this is where you can read everything about me. Here we have a paragraph. It's not bold, it's not a header, it's just a plain paragraph of Anya's self-introduction. Nice. So that's all for the text on our website, but a website is more than text. It also has some interesting images and links and videos, all these things that can make our website more attractive. For example, let's say now we want to insert an image of Anya onto the website, basically this image. So how can we do that? We'll do that by using a image tag. Image tag, angle bracket, image, source, alt, backslash, angle bracket. So what goes into this source here is basically the link to the image that you want to insert. So here I have the link to this image. I'll go ahead and copy paste it over here. And what goes into this alt over here is just a descriptive text of the image, because some people might not be able to actually see the image, so they can go ahead and use this descriptive image to help them understand what's going on this website. Because this image is basically a happy Anya, I'll probably use Anya happy as the alt text. Okay, now we can save and go ahead and refresh. And hey, we have an image of happy Anya. But this is a little bit too big, in my opinion, so I might want to adjust the width or height of this image. So how can we do that? We can add another section inside this image tag by saying height equals to 200 pixels. So now it's in perfect shape. We have a 200 pixels height Anya happy image. So the next thing we're going to talk about is lists. We can have lists on our website, and there are basically two kinds of lists. The first one is unordered list, represented by UL, and the second one is the ordered list, represented by OL. Let's say we want an unordered list of Anya's skills and one ordered list for the things that Anya like. So we can go ahead and add that to our code. So we will first have a header tag that says skills. And we'll have a unordered list, so that's UL. And for every item in the list, we'll use LI tag to represent. So the first skill of Anya is telepathy. She can read people's mind, which is really cool. I wish I could have that kind of skills too. And also the second skill is self-defense. And the final skill of Anya is tennis. So that's our list. Let's go ahead and see if we have it on our website. Now we have a unordered list, yay. So we're going to have another list, an ordered list called things that Anya like. So similarly, I'll go ahead and first add a header that says things that I like. And after that, it's ordered list, so it's OL. And every item in the list is also represented by LI. So LI, the thing that Anya likes the best is peanuts. And also another thing that Anya like is Bondman. So Bondman is a character in the anime. He is a spy, and yeah, Anya really likes that anime, so that's one thing that she like. And final thing is otekeke, which basically means family outing. Cool. Let's see. Now we have a unordered list and a ordered list. Unordered list skills, ordered list things that I like. Okay, that's pretty cool. So now we can go ahead and see what else we can do. We can have a button. The button is represented by obviously the button tag, and we can have a button that says click here to pet Bond. So Bond is Anya's dog, which is really cute. And let's see. Now we have a button over here. You can click on it. Nothing will happen, but you can click on it, and it's kind of fun to just click on the button. And yeah, that's for button. And we can also have link. We just said that HTML is the shortened version for hypertext markup language. So hypertext is text that contain links. So now we can go ahead and add links to our text. For example, here we say that one of Anya's skills is self-defense, but that's kind of confusing. We don't know like what kind of self-defense she's able to do. So we might need some other evidence to illustrate that. So we will go ahead and add a link to a YouTube video that demonstrates Anya's self-defense skills. So to do that, we'll use the A tag. A, href. So what goes into here, the href, is the link to the website that you're going to link. So I have it over here. Cool. We can go ahead and see. Now self-defense is a hypertext. We can click on it, and it will redirect us to some YouTube videos. We can wait a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's self-defense. That's enough. Cool. So one final tag that we're going to talk about is the div tag. So what does the div tag do is it's a container for some other tags in HTML. For example, now we have, for example, the paragraph and the image source separately, but we can include them all in one tag that's called div. You can put it over here and over here. And now you can basically view the paragraph and the image as a whole. We will talk about how is that useful later, but for now, it's just this div tag over here. Cool. So we have covered a lot of tags over here, but just so you know, you don't have to memorize all the tags. You can basically, as I have said, you can look at them online when you need them. They're pretty easy to look up online. And that's basically it for HTML. Now you might be thinking, yay, I have learned HTML. I am the best programmer in the world, but not yet. Because look at our website. It's so lame. Everything is black and they're all in the same fonts, and that's not really a good website. So we will still need cascading style sheets and other stuff to make our website better. So cascading style sheets is CSS. as we have mentioned, CSS basically handles the styles on our website. So it's the language that we can use to style and format web pages. So without CSS, your website will be something like this Pikachu, this really weird and sus Pikachu over here. But with CSS, we can control the fonts, color, size, spacing, layout, and lots of other stuff. And so after using CSS, your Pikachu will be back to its normal cute state, a normal Pikachu. Okay, so before we actually go ahead and add the CSS to our website, we can first take a look at a typical CSS rule. So it's something like this. We can break that down into several parts. The first part will be this H1 over here. Remember that H1 is one of the tags that we use to define a header in the HTML page. So here it is the selector. It basically specifies what kind of elements that we want to style on our website. For example, here I'm basically saying, okay, I want to select every H1 header on my website and I'm going to style it. So how can we style it is that we will use the color property. So the property specifies which aspect of the targeted elements that we want to modify. So here we're just basically telling the computer, hey computer, we want to change the color of the H1 header. So the red is the value of this property. So basically we're saying, okay, we want to change all the H1 header to color red. So we can go ahead and test that in our website. So how can we do that? So to apply CSS, we need a separate file. So here in our demo folder, I'll create another file that ends with a .css extension. So I'll probably name that with styles.css. Rename CSS. Cool. So probably I'll go ahead and use this rule over here. I'll say I want all my H1 tags to be styled. I want to change their color. And I want to change the color to pink. Cool. Let's see. Now all our H1 headers should be in color pink. Let's refresh our website. Oh, nothing happens. Why? Yeah, that's because our CSS file is not currently linked to our HTML file, so the computer doesn't know that by saying H1 color pink here, you're changing the H1 color here. So what do we need to do is that we need to link our CSS file to our HTML page. So to do that, we need to add another line of code inside our head section. So it will basically be something like this, link rel equals to style sheet. href equals to the name of our CSS file. So for me, it will be styles.css. Now it worked. Now our Anya folder's name is in color pink. That's great. So that's how we link our CSS to HTML. We will first create a new file, a new CSS file, and we'll add a link element to the head section of our HTML file. So after we've done this, our CSS file is now officially linked to our HTML file, and we can go ahead and add more styles to our page. So we just mentioned that color is a kind of property that specifies what kind of aspect that we want to modify. And there are a lot of properties in CSS. We can go ahead and test a few of them. So for example, we now have changed the color of the H1 tag to be pink, and I probably want to change the font of this H1 tag too. I'll probably change it to something called Gill Sans, but to do that, we'll use the property called font family. Gill Sans. See, now Anya folder is in pink color and in Gill Sans fonts, which is pretty cool. And also for the header, I want to put it in the middle of our page. So to do that, I'll use the property called text align, center, and voila, it's now in the center of our page. So now I think that's enough for my H1 styles. I want to go ahead and add more styles to the other parts of my website. So for example, remember that we defined a div that includes the paragraph of self-introduction and also the image. We should go ahead and add more styles to the div part. So we will use div. I want to add a background color to this div. So I'll go ahead and use background color, also pink. And let's see. As you can see, both the background color of the paragraph and the image is now pink. So background color is different from color. Color changes the color of the text, and background color changes the color of the background. So we can change the color for the text also here. So I'll say color white. Okay, so now we have a white self-introduction and a pink background color. So that's it for the text styles, and I want to go ahead and add more styles to my picture. I want to make the picture more fancy, so I'll say image. I can add a border to the image. I'll say border 5 pixel solid. I can also change the color of the border by saying border color, also pink. I can also make the corners of the border rounder by saying border radius 10 pixels. Let's see. Yeah, so now our picture has a border of pink color. It's not really visible right now because we have a background color. So I'll probably change the background color to something else, probably blue, and refresh. And now you can see that we have a round pink border for this Anya image, which is great. Yeah, which is great. So we've introduced some of the common properties, and there are certainly more than that. But another good news is that you don't have to memorize all the properties. You can also look it up online. And in fact, if you visit this link over here, this will redirect you to almost all the properties for CSS, and you can use them when you need. Cool. So back to our CSS. Another thing that I want to talk about is the classes and IDs in CSS. So classes and IDs are something that allow us to apply style to some specific elements without affecting some other elements on the page. For example, now let's see, I'll say I want to move everything that's in these two lists in the middle of the page. So how can we do that? Remember that skills was in H3 tag, and things that I like is also a H3 tag. And as for the elements in the list, we represented them by LI. So you'll probably do something like this. So first we select H3 and we say text align, center. And we also select every item in the list by saying LI, text align, center. Let's see. Okay, it worked. Now everything in our list is centered in the middle of our website. However, if you're careful enough, you'll also notice that we also move this H3 header over here, also to the middle of our page. But we don't want that. Remember that I said all I want to do is that I want to move the list to the center of the page. I don't want to move this header over here to the middle of the page. So this is not a feasible solution. And to do what I said, we'll have to use classes. So I'll have to define a class called list. So I'll go ahead and delete all these and define a class by saying comma class, comma list. And text align center. And I'll also have to add that class to here where I want to use it. I'll say class name. Oh, I'll say class equals to lists. Copy it over here. I'll add it over here, also here and here. Cool. Now let's see. After using this class called list, now everything in our list is centered at the middle of our page while we never move this header over here, which is exactly what I want to do. So this example illustrates what I was talking about when I was talking about without affecting other elements on the page. So that is classes, and IDs are probably just similar. We can go ahead and test it. For example, let's look at our website. I want to say that Anya really likes peanuts, so I'm probably going to make this peanut text over here a different color. So I'll define an ID called peanuts, an ID called peanuts. And I'll say the peanuts text should be in peanut color. I'll say color, the peanut color. I have done my research and it's over here. I'm using the hex color code. I Googled it. You can also Google it if you have any specific color that you want. So I'll go ahead and add that ID to our HTML page by saying, okay, li ID equals to peanuts. Let's see. Now peanut is in peanut color. Yay. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what classes and IDs do. But there might be a question that since classes and IDs have the same kind of uses, why do we have these two kind of separate things? So there's a difference between a class and an ID. So a class can be applied multiple times on a page, while an ID is supposed to be unique on a page. From our demo, you can see that I have used this class equal to list several times, probably 1, 2, 3, 4 times on my page, and that's okay. However, I only used ID once on my page, and you're only supposed to give ID to one element on our page. You're not supposed to say, okay, here this peanut, this item has the ID called peanuts. I'll also have this ID peanut over here. This is not okay. This is not good style, not good practice. Okay, so yeah, that's for all about CSS. And now everything looks fine. I wouldn't say it looks fine, but let's say it looks fine for now. But there's one final issue that we have this button in our CSS, in our HTML page that says click here to pet bond, but this button doesn't really do anything. It's just you click on it and that's it. This is so uncool, so lame. So we want to add something to this button, and to do that, we will need to use JavaScript. So remember I said that JavaScript accounts for the logic of our website, and JavaScript is basically a programming language that is used to create interactive and dynamic web pages. So for example, now on our website, I want this click here to pet bond button to have this feature that if you click on it, bond will reply by wolf, and the string wolf will be printed on the website. So how can we do that? So to do that, we will first create another file. Yes, another file. Under our folder, I'll go ahead, create something called script.js. And also, you'll also have to add the script element to the head section of your HTML file, just like what we have done for our CSS file. It will be something like this. Script source equals to the name of your script. I'll have it right here. Script source script.js. Cool. So now our JS file is now linked to our HTML file, and now we can write our JavaScript function in the JS file. So now we have our script.js file ready and linked to our HTML page. We can go ahead and write our function inside this file. So the first thing we are going to do is to say variable text equals to empty string. So what we're doing here is that we're creating a new variable called text, and we're initializing it to the empty string. So this text variable will be used to store everything that we're going to print out on our page. So the next thing we do is to create a function using the function keyword, followed by the name of our function. I'll just use my function, bracket. So inside our function, the first line of code I'm going to write will be something like this: text plus minus wolf space. So the plus minus operator is used to concatenate the new string with the existing value of text. So basically, every time the function is called, the string wolf space will be added to the text variable. So this line appends the string wolf to the text, to the end of the text. The next thing I'm going to write will be something like this: document.get element by ID text HTML equals to text. Oh, there's not quote here, text. Okay, so what this line do is that it sets the inner HTML property of the HTML element with the ID of text to the value of the text variable. That might sound kind of complicated, but we can break it down. So first, document is a built-in object in the browser that represents the web page as a whole. And get element by ID is a method of that object. We can use this method to select a specific HTML element on the page. For example, we can select a header, we can select a paragraph, we can select an image. So how do we select all these elements? We do it by selecting by ID. So in this case, it selects the element with the ID of text. And lastly, the inner HTML property is used to set the contents of what we've just selected to the current value. So the current value is the new value of text after we have appended a new wolf string into that text. So this is our function. Our function is now ready, and we can add that to our HTML file. So what we're going to do is that we will add the function to the button. So we will say something like onClick. onClick equals to my function. So what this basically means is that every time we click the function, we click the button onClick, it will call the function my function. And also one last thing to do is to add a paragraph with the ID text. Cool. Let's try it out on our website. We click wolf. We click again, wolf. We click a lot of times, a lot of wolf. You can go ahead and click as many times as you want. This is kind of fun, but yeah. This is the JavaScript function that we wrote to make our button has this feature that says every time you click, bond will wolf. Yay, so that's it for JavaScript, and that's all for our workshop today about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your projects.